So, let me just start this out by saying that this isn't the kind of story where you meet the main character and you really get to like him and then he dies. I don't like those stories. My goal isn't to make you cry. I just want to tell you about my brother Mick. But I thought I should let you know before I start that he's not here anymore. I just thought I'd be fair to you. So, it was an accident, and I really do mean just about as accidental as you can get. He was riding his bike, and he wasn't doing anything reckless, like he wasn't dodging in and out of traffic or anything, and his hands were on the handlebars. His front tire hit a rock, and he skidded into the back of a passing truck, and that was it. He wasn't wearing his helmet. He said it made him look like a doofus, and he was big on not looking like a doofus because my mother made the mistake of showing him his christening gown when he was 8 years old, and he never really got over it. I'm only 10 months older than my brother. I was planned, he was a surprise, and he absolutely loved it. Being a surprise, I mean. He was always teasing my parents, saying that even before he was born, he could outsmart 2 chemistry majors with birth control pills. He was so funny. We pulled some pretty big capers together. I think the biggest was when he was in kindergarten. We had just had a new driveway poured, and the cement was still wet, and we ran outside, and Mick picked up a stick and quickly carved the letters F-A-R-T into the driveway. I was just learning how to spell, and he was just learning how to print, and it seemed like an absolutely fantastic idea at the time. But let me tell you, it is amazing how one little fart in the driveway can totally lose its humor the minute your father comes home and sees it. So, our mother makes us line up and solemnly swear to tell the truth. And when we do, Mick steps forward and goes, "A monkey did it!" So, we made up this whole story about how a monkey had run up onto the driveway with a stick and carved the word fart into the driveway. And to make the story more believable, Mick said that the monkey's name was Zippy and that it was okay because we had saved the day and chased him all the way back to Africa. He was funny. I have this really weird memory. Like, I have never been able to remember my parents' anniversary in time to get them a card, but I can still remember the exact conversation I had with Santa Claus when I was in kindergarten. I climbed onto his lap, and he said, "Ho, ho, ho," and I said, "Your breath stinks," and he said, "Get down." It wasn't much of a chat, but the point is, it was 8 years ago, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. They say that when someone you love dies, you forget how they sound. You forget their voice. You are supposed to forget what they look like doing simple things around the house, like sitting at the breakfast table eating a bowl of cereal in the morning. That hasn't happened for me yet. I still remember Mick's voice. I can still hear him like he was standing right next to me. When I'm at school, I can hear him laughing, and I can hear him talking to his friends at lunch. And I wake up in the middle of the night swearing that I can hear him talking in his room. And I think to myself, I've finally woken up from this terrible nightmare. Come to find that his room may still be the way he left it, but he's gone. but I can still hear him talking. And it sucks waking up every night reliving that day because I don't understand how he's gone. I don't understand why I can still hear him. But I am not surprised that I still remember the exact conversation we had the day of his accident. I was on my way to soccer practice, and he was running up behind me, and he said, "Hey Phoebe, can you ride my bike home? Dylan Rigby's mom is having a bunch of us over to practice the football announcement for Friday's game." And I told him that I couldn't. He'd have to do it on his own because I have soccer practice. Then he went on to tell me about how he doesn't even know where this kid lives, and he's gonna look stupid riding his bike around the neighborhood, and he just hated me. He yelled that he was gonna look like a doofus. And I responded with, "Sorry, doofus," thinking that that was the funniest remark I had ever thought of. But that was our relationship. The last thing my brother said to me was, "Wow, Phoebe, you're so cool." And I turned my back on him and I walked away. So I am running drills at soccer practice when I hear the sirens. And from then on, everything starts to play out like a movie. The secretary lady runs over to my coach, who then runs over to me and puts his hand on my shoulder, and the sirens stop. And, you know, I just wanted it to not be Mick. I wanted it to be some awful misunderstanding. So I closed my eyes and I did the only thing I could do. I prayed to God that it had been some awful mistake. I prayed to God that it wasn't my brother. I actually remember praying that it had been one of Mick's friends. That it wasn't my fault. So my dad pulls into the parking lot by the soccer field, and he gets out of his car and he walks over to me. And I looked at him and I said, "Mick's gonna be alright, right, Daddy?" I mean, I prayed. It's not Mick. Daddy? And he walked up to me and he cradled my face so gently, like he was afraid he was gonna break me into a million pieces. And in a voice so faint I could hardly hear, he said, "Mick's gone, Phoebe." And that's when I saw it. I saw the truck in the middle of the road and the dent over the back wheel well. And I saw Mick's bike laying in the gutter where he had fallen. And it was mangled. And I remember a sound coming out of my mouth that didn't sound like me at all. Because it couldn't be Mick. Mick was supposed to be at a friend's house. So, yesterday marks the 1-month anniversary of Mick's death. His accident. And as soon as school let out, I ran to the curb by the soccer field and I sat there. And I know that it sounds weird and people said that it's morbid that Phoebe would run to the place that her brother died. But it's not. It's not weird because in my mind, I wasn't running to the place where my brother had died. I was running to the place where he had last been, where he still was. I just wanted to feel close to him again. I used to think that anniversaries were used for marking happy things like birthdays and marriage. But now I know that it's just a way of measuring time. Unfortunately, there were a bunch of noisy workmen putting up bleachers on the soccer field. And they were setting them in concrete. So it was almost dark when the workmen left. And, you know, I am so surprised that no one stayed behind to guard that wet cement because they left wet cement unguarded by a junior high on a soccer field at night. I mean, you're just asking for trouble at that point, especially when there was a 13-year-old girl sitting there all day watching you, already with a stick in hand. I was recounting Zippy's adventures all day waiting for them to leave. So when they finally left, I picked up my stick, which was small enough that I could write neatly, but strong enough that the words would be there forever. That's the best part about concrete. The forever part. I was totally calm when I did it. I walked across the soccer field up to the bleachers and I bent down and I wrote the letters MICKHARTEWASHERE. Mick Harte was here. And he was. But he's gone now. But he lasted 12 years and 5 months to the day. And for those 12 years and 5 months, my brother was the neatest kid you'd ever want to meet. And although he's gone, I just wanted you to know about it. I just thought that you ought to know.